Has Cody Rhodes been spotted near the WWE Performance Center? We're going to give you guys all the details in this video. Also, we got to talk about WWE planning another celebrity at WrestleMania. We're going to talk about that. Plus, Goldberg is reportedly done with WWE. And I'm going to talk about him and AEW as well. This is going to get crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, I appreciate your support. Logan Paul is being rumored to tag team with The Miz against Dominic and Rey Mysterio for WrestleMania 38. This is a rumor that's been kind of floating around for a while, but now sources are indicating that Logan Paul is in fact going to be The Miz's tag partner. Originally reported by PW Insider, and then I think even Fightful had joined in on this report. This actually makes a lot of sense. There's been talk about Logan Paul getting back with WWE for WrestleMania, and look, guys, WWE is in a situation where WrestleMania is always going to be for an extremely casual wrestling audience. I'm not saying I'm excited about Logan Paul actually wrestling. I just don't know if he's, going to actually do anything. When it comes to celebrity involvement, we've seen people like Stephen Amell, and we've seen, obviously, Bad Bunny and a few others where they actually wrestled. Shaquille O'Neal, another good example, somebody who actually wrestled. I'm not sure if Logan Paul would even do that, but for WWE to put The Miz with Logan Paul, Dominic, and Rey Mysterio, it's going to be really interesting. And maybe that's the start of Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio turning on each other, going into another storyline. But again, WWE going extremely for that casual audience here, and it's not really shocking. It is what it is, and it's pretty typical of them to do that. Guys, if you didn't know, Goldberg had one more match left on his WWE contract. He then actually lost his match against Roman Reigns at the WWE Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and there is this belief that Goldberg will not be signing another deal with WWE. This very well could have been his last match in WWE. Now, what's really interesting is that AEW has the tendency to bring in legends and kind of implement them in the right way. It's something that I've actually criticized WWE about and praised AEW about, because AEW will bring in a legend, use them correctly, they honor them, and then they put them in a role that gets them to work with somebody who is a young, evolving talent. And there's no rumors that suggest Goldberg is signing with AEW right now. But when AEW first started, there was actually rumors at the time that Goldberg could have been in AEW, and AEW was fully prepared to make that big offer. That was in the past. Right now, technically speaking, there's nothing that I've heard or anything that I've seen that suggests Goldberg would go to AEW. I'm not going to say it's good or bad. What I will say is that AEW in the past has done a phenomenal job utilizing legends correctly. If AEW were to bring in Goldberg, I don't know what that would do for AEW. I don't think it would be met with a lot of positivity, but I will say AEW has never let us down. The reason why I also wanted to mention this is because we could very well have seen the last of Goldberg, and he won't be on WWE, AEW, Impact, New Japan. We won't see him anywhere in wrestling. That is a very big possibility as well. Or you never know, maybe they even have Goldberg come back under another contract. You never know. These shows in Saudi Arabia, Goldberg was a huge draw, and the crowd loves him, and we don't understand it, but it's just kind of the way it is. Would be very interesting to see what happens, though, because, again, business-wise, I mean, he is a pretty big deal. Do I think he's going to AEW? No. Would I care if he goes to AEW? I mean, I'd prefer AEW doesn't bring him in to obviously have him take attention away from people, but as I said, at this point, they've done a good job with the older guys, so I guess I technically can't be mad at that. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of what they do, too, because you got to think Goldberg would not be a cheap contract, so there's been a lot of talk about AEW and financial troubles and budgets and stuff like that. Just kind of keep that in mind. Goldberg would not be cheap, and I assume that it would probably be an issue for AEW in terms of the IWC accepting a decision like this. But again, if you're looking at what AEW has done, they've never really given you a reason to hate them bringing in an older guy. Tully, Jake the Snake, right? There's just a lot of people. Sting, we've seen this. Arn Anderson, they've actually been assets to the company. Would be really interesting to see now that Goldberg's actually a free agent. And guys, for our final story of the day, we got to talk about this. PW Insider came out with some very interesting news. Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated also came out with some interesting news. Cody Rhodes obviously was not at Elimination Chamber, and I'm not sure who thought this would be a thing. I'm not sure who spread this rumor that Cody Rhodes was going to be used at Elimination Chamber. It's foolish. I don't think WWE would ever, waste that moment for an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. I don't anticipate WWE ever doing that. But nonetheless, PW Insider Mike Johnson has come out, and he has indicated that somebody reached out to him, and they have heard that he was spotted at Orlando International Airport today. There's also this report that came from Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, who reported that Cody Rhodes was going to be at the PC, the Performance Center, this week to film promos. So yeah, Cody Rhodes could very well certainly be going to WWE. This is probably the most interesting story ever. I think every single day that we continue to progress on this channel and make videos, whether we're talking about Cody Rhodes or not, the main subject at hand is whether or not this is a work, whether or not it's real. And, it's just really strange because you have somebody like Kenny Omega who publicly says that Cody Rhodes is flying to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that's how the rumor started. I'm not necessarily sure, but there's a lot of people talking about this, and you got AEW adding to the mix. If this stuff is a work, congratulations to AEW for fooling literally everybody. But at the same time, too, when you have people who work within wrestling media and they're coming out saying, guys, it's not a work, like this is legitimate, I believe that. I sincerely do. Cody going to the Performance Center, filming promos and video packages, whatever it may be, it's going to be interesting to see what his persona is in WWE. And look, I'm not saying WWE is amazing, but lately I feel like WWE has stepped up in terms of their content. Cody going back to WWE, if he's not being viewed as a top guy, I'm not really interested. Now, rumors and everything indicate that Cody is going to WWE as a very big deal. Vince McMahon has very big plans for him. We'll see. But I can't shit on this idea until we see it with our own eyes. So for those who kind of want to know where I stand with this, my belief is that if Cody Rhodes is going to be a big deal in WWE, then I can be really happy about this decision. If Cody Rhodes goes back to WWE to be Stardust 2.0, to be honest with you, I'm not interested. But I do think this is going to be a very, very interesting week, maybe 2 weeks of television. Because, truth be told, it's going to be an interesting month. You got Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, you have Dynamite, you have Rampage, you have Revolution next month. WWE has WrestleMania in 6 weeks. Does WWE make you wait 6 weeks for Cody Rhodes? There's a lot of stuff, guys. It's interesting. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll talk more soon.